You may or may not have heard, but Badlands was added for a couple of minutes in Tower Defense Simulator. Now, the wiki page does not list it because technically it was added as a glitch. But Badlands has been updated technically to the new game mode system, because Badlands is just like a regular map, just with 2 paths, and it doesn't have the all paths modifier, but it does have like modifiers. They were updated, so let's say I have the VIP Game Pass or VIP Plus subscription. Yes, that is included in Badlands, but no all paths, and the only modifier that I used to have is the cowboy modifier, where it gives all enemies the cowboy hat. Now, other than that, there's not really that many restrictions with the game. You can place down the Gatling gun, you can place down all the new towers that have been added since Badlands 2 was added. Like, you can have the Mercury base, I don't know, all the towers are reworked. It's not like it's stuck in the past. No, you can use old towers and new towers alike, and there is no difference. It's like Badlands it was like a new map that was added from like the past, and not really much has changed. It acted like a map in general, not much difference to any other map except for Fallen mode. Fallen mode has the old Fallen mode, Fallen wave structure, so that's the one before the Fallen mode, the Fallen Heroes update, or the Fallen Foes update, I think, where it completely changed the Fallen King. So say the new one has like 200,000 health, while the legacy version only has 150,000 health, 150,000 health. But it does have rage mode, the old version. The new one doesn't. But I'd assume you'd be able to activate the hidden wave on Badlands, but obviously being so new and also being 2 parts, it would be extremely difficult for you to activate the hidden wave on Badlands. I did that once on the original Badlands, original OG version. Like, I talk about this being the OG version. It's not this is the OG version. Like, this is really old. Now, what I noticed also was the final boss randomly appeared on either one or the other path, at least when I did it. I don't know if that's because I restarted and there was an odd amount of enemies, so it just flipped over, or if because back in the day, all major bosses would spawn at the cave entrance. Meanwhile, I saw it at the train entrance for the first run I did on Badlands, for the Gravedigger at least. So I don't know whether that's a glitch or whether that's just something new with the Badlands interacting with the new game mode system. Because yes, actually, intermediate mode was there. You could play intermediate mode if you wanted to, which I'd assume someone must have, because it was in the game for a bit, not a lot. It was about 3, 4, 6 hours-ish, I think. So there was a time period where you could have played intermediate mode on Badlands and been one of the very, very rare people to have beaten the Patient Zero on Badlands. However, those were fleeting examples, and I don't think much, if any, people actually beat it. I beat it on easy mode, the reworked easy mode, so I was like one of the few people to beat the reworked Gravedigger. Multi-mode acts as multi-mode does, except for the new game mode rewards at the end. Fallen mode, I do not believe you get the cowboy at the end of it, because the badge was disabled, and you don't get the new badge, the Badlands 2 badge, for beating Badlands OG. You only get the Western Action badge, which has been disabled, so you don't get the cowboy. And I believe there was a time period where the Western Action badge was disabled right before Badlands 2 was added, so therefore some people actually didn't get the cowboy on Fallen mode on Badlands. So you couldn't get the cowboy that way, but cowboy is much easier to get on Badlands 2, I think, rather than Badlands 1. My personal opinion. I also don't know if the extra 50 XP you got for beating this map on Fallen mode applied. I don't think it does, but what did apply was random consumable items at the end, so you could have gotten the high grade crate, also the low grade crate in Fallen mode if you triumphed this map. What was disabled because of not related issues to Badlands being in the game, which I'll get to later, you couldn't use timescale tickets, nor could you use revived tickets, which were enabled 3 shadow updates after Badlands was removed. Now, you might be questioning yourself, oh yeah, this is all fancy, you played it. How can I play it? Simple answer is, you can't anymore. They removed it. They removed the ability to play Badlands in elevators. Now, the reason why I was in elevators in the first place was, I think it was due to a glitch where the developers updated the servers, private servers, to include all of the maps. However, I believe when they specified all the maps, they specified special maps and Badlands, because I believe Badlands is one of the very rare maps that hasn't been removed completely from the game's code. It's still there, and I have a theory of why it's still in the game's code. later. But the special maps were also added to these elevators. They were also removed at the same time as the Badlands OG map, but they were accidentally added to all elevators. Now, you could actually get Badlands in a public server as well. But like I said, because you can't reset the elevators by going in and then going out, it was very rare for Badlands to actually appear. You had to go in and out of servers, private servers, to actually have the best chance of doing that. Even then, I suspect that only a handful of people managed to get Badlands in one of the elevators and then beat Badlands itself, like I did. And because it's now been removed, the ability to play Badlands or even triumph it anymore, can't triumph the map anymore. Very sad. So yes, my footage, I've been told about my footage is the only footage on YouTube where it shows me beating Badlands in 2024. Otherwise it would have become lost media, which is cool. I created like one of the rare pieces of history in Tower Defense Simulator, but you know, it was never meant to be in the first game in the first place, and it was only added due to a glitch, which I suspected was the developers trying to compensate for these maps not being in private servers, but then now having to re-add all the maps, and Badlands just so happened to be in the code, and they were accidentally re-added. Now, why is Badlands in the game's code, and why could some people still play it? I don't know specifically, but I do have some theories, because I only think that it's Badlands only that's in the game's code. I believe Polluted Wastelands, the original map, that's been removed. And if you're thinking about any other maps like Doomspire, like the OG maps of Candy Valley, or they're removed completely. They're not in the game's code. Only Badlands is. I never understood why, because it was removed in 2022 when Badlands 2 was added. And having been kept in the game's code for so long, from 2022 to 2024, it never really made sense to me, because the developers don't usually keep maps around. They keep other features around, so like the shield. So remember the shields from 2020, they were added and then they were removed, but the game's code still has it in case it's used for any other features or the developers use that code for something else. The Fallen Titan still does have this feature, but it's not used anywhere, but you can still kind of see why the feature remained active just in case it was going to be used later. Never the case for maps. When maps are removed, they are removed completely. That's not a general case. Some maps are still in the game, and I can't tell you which ones after being removed. But in general, the general rule of the thumb is if the map is removed, it's not in the game's code anymore. So for example, the OG Heights, Area 51, Nightmare Carnival, Village of Despair, Eggy Island, these aren't in the game anymore. You can't play these maps. So say End of the Line, for example, Island Chaos, Canyon, Castle, Candy Cane Lane, Mount a Million, all these maps removed. They're not in the game's code anymore. Try play Sub-Zero. You can't. Try playing Headache Headquarters. You probably could actually. That's probably still in the game's code. PvP, that map, probably removed as well. But Badlands, of all the maps, Badlands remained in the game's code. So why? Why is it in the game's code? And I suspect it has something to do with sandbox mode. I'll probably talk about this in another video later on, but the gist of it is the developers are planning sort of to add a new, I think they called it a game pass, an admin game pass, where enable players to use sandbox mode to just play whatever. They can do whatever. They can play old structures, wave structures. So that's, for example, you can have the OG Fallen mode, as was seen in Badlands, as was seen in other special maps with the modifier disabled. You could play these maps, and I suspect the developers have planned adding sandbox mode since 2022 when Badlands was removed for this specific feature in the future. So in the future you may be able to play Badlands in sandbox mode as it originally intended. Now I'm not sure about any other maps because they've been removed, but I suspect it might be quite easy to re-add them. I mean, for example, Classic Winter and Classic Candy Cane Lane. These are event maps, yes, but they're modified from what it was back in the day. So I suspect it might just be quite easy to just re-add them. You might have to update the game's code and the nodes and everything, but in general, I think it could be done. And yes, Golden Mode probably could come back as well. More on that in that video, but the gist of it is, I suspect Badlands is still in the game purely because of that. Because there is no other reason why Badlands would have been kept. Because it's not being kept for any other reason. You can't, it's in the game's code, yes, but you can't actually activate it through any means, actually. So why is it in the game's code? Who knows? Other than for that reason that I specified. That's a theory, not a confirmation, but I think it's a very good confirmation. So for now, this is the only way that you can play Badlands, and you missed the opportunity. I suspect in 2025, you may be able to play it through the admin game pass, but for now, you can't. Oh, I should have got an updated view as well. But yeah, that was Badlands. I was one of the few people to actually triumph it and get some rewards out of it. Very cool. Okay, thanks, bye.